Hello friends, I'm Renee and welcome back to my channel. Each week now, this is week number 4, I have been bringing you along and I've been doing garden tours so you could see the progress of my garden and my little happy homestead and my chickens and all my homestead. So all my gardens, I do my gardening in raised beds, and I'm hoping that this will inspire many of you to take up gardening and start growing your own food and get a little more self-sufficient. So anyway, let's get started with this. This is my big bed right here. This is my log bed. Remember, I have said many times, you can make a raised bed out of many things. Well, years ago, we took down pine trees in our yard. And that was to clear the area out, basically where we're standing right now. So I made a beautiful log bed out of that. And that has grown many things, from potatoes to this year is squash. I've had flowers in it, lots of stuff in there. But that is all yellow straight squash. And it's doing very well. I did lose one of my plants. You'll see the bare spot. I lost one of my plants to a squash vine borer. That little booger, I didn't catch them in time. They can be devastating to your plants, or your squash plants anyway. So right here is my large bed, and I have got cabbage and kale and beets and cucumbers, and I've got a few flowers on the other end, and I'll show you. But my beets are doing really, really good in here. You can see they're doing fantastic. See the size of the one down there? I'm sure you can see them. My cabbage is doing really good. And I planted it, I planted it so it would be pretty too. I staggered it, red and green and whatnot. My kale, I've already harvested probably 3 times off that now. And then on the corner here, I've got nasturtiums and marigolds. And I got some extra weeds in here. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with that, but I do pretty good. And I got Charlie. She's the yard patrol. Over here in this section, I've got sunflowers, and this is all my flowers. I've got sunflowers, Cosmo, marigolds, morning glories, not morning glories, but bachelor buttons, 4 o'clocks, nasturtiums, and the little, I've got black poppies, but they're growing along the back of this bed. And then here are my sunflowers, and these are doing fantastic. You can see here, I've got some beautiful buds already on them. They're just going to be gorgeous. And I believe these ones are the autumn beauties. And I have a couple different kinds in there, but for the most part, I fell in love with the autumn beauty sunflower that I grew last year, and I just had to grow it again. And so most of this is the autumn beauty sunflowers, and they're beautiful. Wait till you see them. Anyway, in this bed here, I've got rainbow Swiss chard, and I've got more kale, and I've also got Brussels sprouts growing in here. And I'll show you about Brussels sprouts. They're a little more maintenance as they get going. So you have to prune them down a little bit, and then, depending on your area, you'll want to stake them up so that the wind don't blow them over and break the stems on them. So, and they'll be nice. And when we go over here, I've got my sprinkler is going in the other section of the garden, so I will have to turn that off before I take you out there. There are my tomato containers. Those are tomatoes I've grown in containers, and they look a little rough because they're under quite a bit of stress from the weather we've had. It rained for days, and then it got really cool, like between 50 and 60 out, and then it went right back up to 80, 85 degrees. So they are stressed, but I'm sure they'll snap back and they'll be okay. They'll do just fine. And there's my lonely little cucumber. And underneath my sunflowers, you can see there, I started some cucumber plants. like right in here. And they'll make their way up the sunflowers, and they'll be beautiful. And over here, I've just got a little barrel, and I put some marigolds, and I've got a red cabbage, and I've got some scarlet kale in there. And these are my Tom Thumb peas. Now, I'm not happy with them at all. This is the first year I grew them. I got the seeds from Baker Creek, and I don't like them. That's all the bigger they got. And I really do have a green thumb. So I don't know what it was. I planted them early enough, but they're just not good. I don't like them. I won't never grow them again. And there's my little box with my nasturtiums in it and some more of my container tomatoes. So over here in this bed is all the tomato plants and the vegetables that my friend gave me. And I guess they were just going to toss them out. And she thought, no, I'll give them to Renee because she'll plant them and they'll do good. Well, they are. Those are all Roma tomatoes, and they're doing fantastic. I always put a few beans in with my tomatoes because they're very good companion plants. Beans add nitrogen to the soil. So that will do really good over there. You can see on that side of my yard that's my pond, and that is, I'll show you this over here. I've got my hostas over there along the house, but my garden is doing very good. These are all herbs and a few flowers that I've got in here. You can see I've got the fire and ice hosta right there. And then that one is a vertigo grass. And then I got the variegated grass. I got mint in there, parsley in there, and I can start harvesting some of the parsley that I have in there. I've got lavender in there. I've got rosemary, sedum, thyme, lemon thyme, variegated thyme, and basil in there. Basil is not doing well in this garden. So next year I won't grow basil in this garden. And there is my little pot of flowers. All that's there is nasturtiums, zinnias, and a big marigold. That's doing really good. My zinnias, they're gonna start throwing buds pretty soon. And then there's my lovely pond with my creeping Jenny. And she's doing good too. That is so peaceful. And then I've got my guest bedroom is right there. That's the window. I got that window open and the screen up, and you can hear the water from the pond when you're laying in that bed in there. So my friends that come to stay now and then, they really do enjoy it. We gotta turn this water off. You can see my water out there, and you'll see it go off in a second. Then we'll be able to get out there. There we go. It's off. I'll give it a second to dry. Now there's my little pot of nasturtiums there, and this in the front is all hostas. You can see on this side. And then I got my nasturtiums there in the front. My nasturtiums are doing really good on this side this year. Last year I grew impatiens because they said impatiens like a little extra shade. Well, they didn't do very good back here, but everything else is. And that's a beautiful little lily that my daughter planted many, many years ago. And my peas, they're doing pretty good. I didn't plant as many this year, but these are nice. These are really good. And they're crunchy. And my grandkids, we eat them right off. I don't even save the peas. We eat them as we're out here working in the garden. Okay. This is more Brussels sprouts over here. And it's doing really good. I do need to start trimming it and get it staked up because I like to stake mine. That right there starting up the fence, that's my birdhouse gourd. And that one plant there, I think there's another one beside of it. But that one plant there will take up the whole side of this trellis. And then I got a couple of them over here, the birdhouse gourds, along with more of my Brussels sprouts. Oh, and this one over here, I showed you in my live stream that I harvested a rutabaga. Well, he was harvested right out of the middle there. Beautiful. He was gorgeous. So I added 5 bean plants over there. I planted 5 bean seeds over there to kind of fill in that bare spot. And beans will do good. They're good with the Brussels sprouts. I'm crunching on the peas. Okay, this is all my zucchini. It's absolutely gorgeous. I've picked a lot of zucchini. I picked about 5 big zucchinis off there today. And it's doing very good. I got a couple more on here that will be good to be picked tomorrow. And then my nasturtiums there. See, there he is. He's down in there hiding. He'll be a nice one tomorrow. But that's doing really good too. My little bird bath. My nasturtiums. And you can see my scarlet runner beans are doing real good too. They're working their way up the trellis. And on this side, I've got the scarlet runner beans, and they're working their way up the other side, so they'll meet in the middle, and that will be just full. And last year I grew the scarlet runner beans, and let me tell you, it really attracted the little hummingbirds. I had just tons of them out here. Now this is my other little salsa garden. That one has got tomato plants, marigolds, nasturtiums, pepper. It's got 1 pepper plant in there. And I'm afraid that it might be getting, you know, it might get, oh no, actually, if you look down in here, I got a little pepper on it. See that little pepper on it? Beautiful. So it's doing really good. The tomatoes, and then that's a big bunch of marigolds. They're getting ready to bloom. And then this over here is called the English or custard squash. This one resembles the patty pan squash, but it's a little bit bigger and a little deeper bowl shaped. But it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's doing very good in there. And my nasturtiums, my thyme, and my French tarragon is doing good in there. Now in my next video, I got to come out here and show you how I harvest all this, because that big pot over there has my thyme and my oregano in there. And it's time that I get harvesting some of that. Okay, now here's my peppers. And these are doing fantastic too. Absolutely, and I love them. I love peppers. I've got red peppers, yellow peppers. I think I got green peppers and purple in here. So, and those are doing really good. And you can see they've already got little peppers starting on them. It took me a few years to figure out how to grow peppers. Every time I would grow pepper plants, they would be real sparse, or, you know, they'd have a few leaves, their leaves would all fall off. These ones are doing absolutely fantastic. Oh, let me get you down there. These ones are doing absolutely fantastic. And it's because I don't water them much at all. I'm sure I would bank on it that that's what it is I'm not watering them much. Because last year I would water them a whole lot, and all their leaves would fall off, and then they'd just die. Those are onions, and I got to come out here and harvest some of them because I dehydrate those, the onion tops. And those, I use those all during the winter for my soups and stews and casseroles. And you can see my beans here, they went wild. Now I got to tell you about these beans. These were supposed to be bush beans, and just along the back I had the pole beans. See, they're already starting up the fence. They're doing really good. Well, they were all pole beans. So I've got a few bush beans on this side, and that was the Royal Burgundy beans that I put in. And then all my nasturtiums out there. So that looks like a hot mess, but it is really doing good. And then there's another hot mess of onions. Look at all that. It just goes absolutely wild. Look how it does. See that? You'll have that, and then it throws off that big runner, and then it starts more. These are called Egyptian walking onions, and I'm going to save these sets, and I'm going to plant them in another section of one of my raised beds. And they are invasive. They'll take right over everything. They'll walk right across your garden. But they're nice to have, and they're delicious. And that's my morning glories over there. Those are doing good. This is all flower bed. And again, I've got the Cosmo, marigolds, nasturtiums, zinnias, 4 o'clocks. I got it all in there. And plus I got a big old plant of sage. And I'm gonna have to harvest some of that pretty soon because I grow a lot of my spices that I use all winter long. And this is my mint that I use for my tea. And I've got thyme and scarlet and curly kale in there. Now I always tell you, you can grow, if you grow in containers or raised beds, you know that you can grow in just about anything. And if you look down here at this is an old like horse trough. And it's all rusted up and beat up, but you know what? It grows some beautiful stuff in there. It works really well. These, friends, this is my bed of patty pans. I've already picked a patty pan off there, but there's another one. Beautiful. And these are really prophilic. Last year I had 2 plants, and I had a hard time keeping up with them. But this year I put an extra plant in because there's a lot of people that I'm going to be giving veggies to. So we'll utilize every one of them. And I've got beans in there, and the beans do really good because they give off the nitrogen for the squash. They're a good companion. Then I got a beautiful little plant of nasturtiums in there. And those are doing good too. All right, you see my little pot of pansies and my little rooster that my daughter got me sitting in my wagon. Here's another salsa bed. And these tomatoes are going berserk. I am going to have to stake them up even more so. This one is it grew completely out of the container. But you can see I got little tomatoes on there. And you can see down here. These are the Black Beauty tomatoes. If you can see that. They're kind of purpley striped. Those are absolutely beautiful tomatoes, and they are delicious. And I got more pepper plants in here, and those are also doing quite well. I got nasturtiums and marigolds and basil, and then the tomatoes, which are doing just phenomenal in there. You see all them? And a big old marigold in there. But they've all got tomatoes on them, see? They're all starting. And this one's got a bunch of the little tomatoes on there, see them? So, and then down here, I planted a little hot pepper plant. And I got another one over here. And I thought, well, we'll see how he does over there. Then I got this hot mess that I'm going to take right off there. I don't want that on there. I do my my best to keep these pruned and keep the suckers pulled off of them. And just look at how big and thick that stalk is and sturdy. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm going to have to tie it up here pretty soon again too. So there's with all this side, and then I got a few Cosmo mixed in with some hostas right there in the front bed. So we'll go on over here and I'll show you over here. Look at how pretty that looks. And my cucumbers, you can see them, they're already starting to poke through the lattice fencing that I got over there from to grow on. These are all different kinds of radishes. It's just a big blend of all different kinds. So I'm going to wait and see how those do. I got those seeds from Baker Creek too. And then my potatoes are doing really good over here. I'm all done hilling them. I won't hill them anymore because I got them nice and thick now. And a lot of them are starting to flower, so they're already got their tubers. And they're just getting bigger and bigger. And these are squash. And these I planted late, a little later in the season, so they'll probably be good for, you know, close to fall harvest. And it's doing good. Yeah, the potatoes are standing up and they're starting to get their buds, and they're doing real good. And my broccoli over here is doing real good. It seems like every week, you know, I see it all the time, but every week it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just growing in leaps and bounds. So this is tomatoes and cucumbers. And I already came out here earlier and I picked zucchini and cucumbers. I picked a huge cucumber off my other plant. But those are doing real good too. And then these are beans. And I had to put this little trellis up. I'll show you this. I had to put that little white trellis up because those were supposed to have been bush beans. And in all reality, those are pole beans. See how they're making their way to the fence? And they're starting to grow up the fence. I just put that up yesterday. So they're having a ball reaching that fence. And sometimes I just go like so and push them through if I can and give him a good start on the fence. He's from that side, so we'll put him back over. They do good. And then here is some more squash plants. And these are doing good over here. These are yellow squash plants. And you can see I've got a lot of squash on them. You can see that down there. I got one down there. And I picked like 5 or 6 of them off these plants earlier today. And I got a couple right there going. They're looking nice. Very healthy. And then my cucumbers are making their way up the trellis. And you can see. And this is all I do. I just put it back around and let it wind back up and around, and it does really good. See that one? Just put it through there. That's all I do. And they do wonderful. And I think, if you can see, I've got a cucumber on that one right there. And I picked a big one off this one over here. It had a nice size one on there. And I enjoyed that with some of my radishes. See, this is doing really good too. I just get them to go right through there, and then they work their way up the fence, and it does wonderful. If I can get them in there. Might not stay in there. It's kind of, sometimes it's hard to get them to go through. There's another cucumber on there. These are national pickling cucumbers. And then if I go over here, you'll see more cabbage. I got red and green cabbage in there. And more pole beans. These were supposed to be bush beans too. They're pole beans. So, and I just push them through the fence just like so. Just let them get their way to the fence and they'll do good. They've already attached. Some of them, if you can see this right here, they've already attached to the fence. And I just put this up, not yesterday, the day before. So they're already doing good. And this one is tomato plants. And those are doing real good too. And you can see they've got stressed a little bit. And that's okay. It's not going to kill the plant. Their leaves will curl up. Sometimes their leaves will curl like that when they're losing moisture. Or they don't have enough water, their leaves will curl to save what moisture they have. And other times it's just weather stress, and that's what mine are. Mine are just stressed from weather because we had so much rain, and then it was really hot, then it got really cold, and more rain, and hot again, and it's just been nuts. That's a cute little cucumber plant I got going on down here. He's doing good. He's got little baby cukes on him. And this, I'm not quite sure what this is. This was from my friend, and you can see that right there. I don't know what, it's some kind of winter squash, I would believe. And there's a yellow squash there. So, that's how this looks back here. And it's doing really good. And I'm pleased. Oh, and this over here, let me show you that tub there. The turnips that we planted in there, they went to seed. So I pulled them all out and I replanted that with hopefully bush beans. The package said bush beans, so I'm hoping that's what they are. So I'll have some bush beans in there. But otherwise, everything back here is looking pretty good. It has grown a lot since you've seen it last. I usually do my tours, my garden tours on Friday, but because it was such bad weather, it is now Sunday. So it's got a couple extra days on me. But that's doing good. So there you go, friends. You can see that my garden has taken a real jump in the last week, and it's doing really good. I'm very pleased. There's gnats all over out here. And I hope you enjoyed that. And I hope that sharing my garden tours with you and my garden journey, I sure hope that will inspire some of you to give gardening a try, because you'll love it. It really does help you to be self-sufficient, and nothing beats working in your garden and planting seeds, and it's cleansing to your soul. It's so refreshing and it's rewarding. So there you have it, friends. Thanks for hanging out with me. You all have a good day.